Hey Black Circle family, we are back for another episode. I'm here with my wonderful guest, Yannelle Aïssi.
Hi,
welcome.
Thank you.
I normally do a little bit of an introduction, but I would like you to kind of introduce yourself because you are with YouTube and you do some amazing things. So just kind of tell the audience like where you sit with YouTube, kind of what your background is and where you are today.
Okay, cool. So I'm Yannelle. Super nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. So I work at YouTube. I've been working at YouTube for 3.5 years now. So before that, I was actually working on the French market for like a smaller tech company. Before that, I worked in Dublin, still for Google this time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And now at YouTube, I actually help content creators and media companies grow on the platform across, various things like content strategy, analytics, all those things.
Amazing. And today we're going to do something a little bit different, and I like to call it our YouTube tips for growth surgery.
Yes.
So we're going to do like a good deep dive into kind of like engagement, growing a platform, all the things that you need to do to take those steps if you're a content creator or just a creator. And see hopefully what we can kind of get out of it and the knowledge that you can share with us. Yes. So shall we kick off with audience growth on YouTube? So what are some of the foundational strategies for growing an audience on YouTube today?
Okay, that's a very good question. In order to answer that, we just have to take a step back. So basically, I would like first to start with the fundamentals. As in, before even thinking about like growing the audience, it's more so about like the content you want to put out there. So in my opinion, like the more niche your content is, I would say the easier it is to actually build a community and having people relate to that specifically. And based on that, you can then start off and actually start expanding that part of the community. So that's like the first step. A second step is, of course, like quality of the video.
Yes,
very important. Exactly. We don't want people to exit the video or whatever. So that's the second step. Third step, I would say, would definitely be titles, descriptions, what we call actually internally metadata. So keywords. Fun fact, YouTube is actually a very powerful search engine. So the thing is, like, the more detailed you are, the more precise and like the more, let's say, intentional you are about the topics you want to put out there, actually the easier. And like the easier it is as well for the algorithm to pick up those topics and actually like more make your content more discoverable.
Okay. So, I mean, I know that, for example, I've read that hashtags don't work on a platform like Instagram, but would you encourage hashtags on a platform like YouTube?
Good question again. A few years ago, yes, for sure, but it's no longer the case. Basically, like our system are now like very much so able to actually detect the topic based on the keywords you're going to use and so on. So I wouldn't actually like suggest using hashtags anymore.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I don't know, we'll probably kind of dig into this a little bit, but like with AI and all of this, it's kind of really a bit more of a powerful algorithm all on itself.
Exactly.
I'm going to learn so much today. I'm so excited about this. Okay. So still on that same topic. So from your experience, what are some common mistakes you see from new creators when trying to grow their channels?
I feel like the number one is actually the lack of authenticity. It's very cheesy, but I feel like in order for your audience to connect with you, you have to be like the most authentic as possible and really driven by your topic, your area of expertise, or your passion in general. And it's going to show on the camera. So that's like the number one thing. And also, don't try to be too generic and copy and imitate what's out there.
Yeah.
It might work at first, but then like you might actually see like a lot of stale, and then like it could actually be deceitful in a way. So that's the first thing. Another, let's say, common mistake that I see. Let me think. Analytics.
Okay. Yeah.
Usually actually like creators, like they are very passionate, creative, and so on. So like analytics is not necessarily their strongest suit.
Yeah.
So it's something
guilty.
No, but like same. Can be very daunting as well. But trying to understand a little bit about the demographics, actually like key metrics, understanding why your audience is staying longer on a specific video versus another, views and all those things is very, very, very crucial to understand the audience and actually adapt your content. And make it work on the platform.
I'm just like thinking, and I'm not going to go on and bang on about like my own analytics and things like that, but it's just easy to kind of relate what you're saying back when I kind of look at my numbers. You said something really interesting about as a creative, you're not really sometimes, not everybody is not really inclined to look at the numbers and the metrics, and you just want to create. And I think that's like my biggest problem, but it's really important. You need that to drive the engagement and to build the audience. So I'm just trying to think how you kind of marry that creative brain up with the kind of data and logic and that side of things. What would you kind of encourage?
I would say maybe focus on 3-4 metrics.
Okay.
Watch time hours, I think it's like the number one. Making sure that people actually spend as much time as possible on your platform and making sure this actually metric grows. Views is important, but honestly, not as much. And then retention for sure, making sure you have like new users, so new people actually like subscribing to your channels or actually subscribing to your content. So yeah, and revenue, of course, if it's like one of your goals as well, making sure that like you the content you put out there is actually long enough for you to maximize the revenues opportunities.
So what would be the ideal length of time to start revenue coming in for that?
Up to 10 minutes, honestly, because below it might be too much for the audience actually having 2-3 ads on the content. So above 10 minutes is ideal because you could actually have 3 type of formats, and then like it's gonna be seamless to the audience and not as disruptive.
Interesting. Also, and again, I don't know if we might hopping around a little bit here with questions. Shorts, they're quite new to the platform.
Yes.
So how important are they now?
They are massive, and like we've seen like more than 300 actually like billion users actually using shorts. Not billion.
I was like, wow, that's a lot. It's like, what?
Oopsie, no,
Million, yeah.
Million. It's actually massive, and like the way it could be incorporated in your strategy is that first you can use it as a way to, let's say, tease your content, right? Or like use excerpts of your long form to actually drive interest for like from a new audience. And the reason why it's so important is that it's like a whole new algorithm compared to what we call long form.
Oh, okay.
So usually creators use that in media companies as well, just to make sure their content gets discovered by another type of audience, mostly Gen Z, because of course, like, and also audiences who actually never watched your content. So this would be used as a way to raise awareness and discoverability of your content. And then you can actually add like a link as a long form to your main video. So this way you make sure that not only people discover your content, but also have access to the longer video and then subscribe to your channel. It's like a whole funnel.
Oh, wow. Okay, like I said, I'm going to learn so much today and I love it. Okay, so are there any differences in growth strategies for different types of content? So vlogs, tutorials, reviews, is there any differences there?
To be fair, no, not really. I would say like you could see differences in strategy when it comes to vertical. So news partners versus like entertainment creators or lifestyle creators. So if we take, let's say, like a beauty lifestyle creators, they might focus more on, I don't know, like having series, I don't know, like come with me and like we're gonna check like those type of restaurants. Or could also be I'm actually moving out, so like come decorate my apartment with me, and like this could lead into like a different series, right? But if you think about like a news partner, they might have tons of different content on their platform. Could be commentary, could also be investigation journalism, and these things actually differ from like creators according to their vertical. But when it comes to the formats, they are more so used like across the board by any type of creator and media companies. So yeah, we have actually like podcast, which is like quite new to the platform, very much so loved by creators and news by default as well. So yeah, it's like worth mentioning, I feel like.
Okay, so when you say podcast, it's what's the format?
We have audio and video both.
Right, okay, yeah.
Which is super cool. And also like the fact that you can actually rely on keywords to make sure that your content gets discovered. It's like another way as well to lean into that multi-format on top of shorts. So could be interesting.
Okay, YouTube are really kind of...
We are there.
yeah, definitely. All right, so let's change gears a little bit and let's get into maximizing engagement. And I know we did touch on kind of metrics and things, but let's dig in a little bit more. So what metrics should creators focus on to gauge engagement, and why are these important? I know you said there's like 3 that you should focus on. Yeah.
So I would say for sure likes, comments.
Yeah.
And then anything relating to trying to understand the engagement and retention of your audience. So in the YouTube analytics, you have access actually like for each video to let's say, moments of drops of your audience when they're watching your video. So this could be very interesting to see, like, let's say they drop at, I don't know, like second minute. Okay, like they're not as engaged. That's like a nice way to actually gauge their interest. Another one is the community tab, which is not really used.
Okay.
But it actually should. So you can use it as a way to, like, I don't know, like have polls, like try to get like gauge the pulse of the audience, like what they are into, ask them questions about the content they want to see on your channel, and so on and so forth. And like the more you post and like the more they react, and like the better it is for the algorithm, because it's like, okay, the users are engaged, I'm gonna like show more,
right? Push you up a little bit.
Push you up a little bit,
right.
Exactly.
Okay. Again, this is all great information. I'm taking this all in. And so, what are some creative ways to boost engagement on videos beyond just asking viewers to like and subscribe?
Okay. Still like and subscribe.
Of course, yes.
It's not so like, it's no longer like 2012. It's like very much so like still relevant. But the second piece is, I don't know, let's say like you're discussing about something that is quite controversial. So asking the audience in general, okay, what do you think of this topic mid-video, you know? Or like, would you have done this differently? Like, what's your opinion on this and that? So this helps a lot. And maybe like throwing in a challenge. I don't know, like if you manage, let's say like you're like a comedian on your channel doing a skill or whatever, you can actually say, okay, if by the 5th minute you actually laughed, you have to subscribe. So these are ways to actually engage with them without sounding too pushy or eager to grow that audience.
Yeah. So you're really kind of pulling the audience into your world, aren't you? And just making it very interactive,
exactly.
which is really, really great. I love that. Okay, so how important, and this is how important is consistency in maintaining engagement, and what advice would you give to creators who struggle with it?
Consistency, I think like it's like the number one, I would say, rule. So let's say you, and the thing is, we're seeing like there's like plethora of platforms, right? And it's really hard to actually like be across everything and do everything at once. However, what I would suggest is maybe commit to, let's say, 1 video a week if you're just starting, or like once a month. Just like cadence is like very much so important, cadence and like regularity. Yeah. So you might as well focus on 1 video per month or week, but at least be consistent in that, or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
So that's the one. And then when it comes to like balance, you could actually start with, I don't know, 1 video a week, and then repurpose the short videos you might actually use on other platforms and like put them on YouTube as well, just to see how like the audience reacts. And this actually like helps you like gain time, you know, and actually be more efficient. So yeah, these could be ways actually like to
Yeah, and I'm just thinking like as a user, it is so much easier to kind of upload the shorts. They're a couple of minutes, so you're creating just a couple of minutes of content.
Yeah.
You can upload that way more easily than you can do like a whole, hour or 30 minutes of content.
Exactly.
And so you could probably do that every day,
Yeah, and also repurpose what you've put actually on Instagram or like TikTok and all those things. It doesn't matter, especially at the beginning when you're not too sure about the audience and like what they like on YouTube. Then like it's like a gain of time.
Yes, brilliant. Okay, so let's move on a little bit now to YouTube's algorithm and how videos are suggested. So what is the role of keywords in video titles, description, and tags, and how can creators optimize their content for better discoverability?
Keywords are, I feel like, essential. And there are 2 ways you can go about it specifically. So we have like available tools you can use, like Google Trends, for instance, or in the YouTube analytics, there's like a specific section where you can see actually what inspires people. So based on that, you can actually gauge what are the key topics, interests, and like according to seasonality, things that might actually work for your channel, right? So that's the first thing. Title, keywords, and all those things. I think like the algorithm really relies on those, right? So like if you manage to actually like put out content around the Olympics, during the Olympics, and like a few keywords, boom, you're gonna see your content skyrocket during that period of time as well. So making sure that you're really thorough in like the selection of like the keywords, and if it happens to match with a seasonality and like I don't know, like Christmas or like a specific period during like the year, I think like that's ideal.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so what are some of the myths or misconceptions about the YouTube algorithm that you'd like to clear up?
The number one is shadow banning.
Yes. Okay.
But like I wouldn't. I mean, the thing is, discoverability and the algorithm is really based on like the user's interest, right? So like the more we see that like a user is actually like leaning into a topic, like the higher the chances of us, I mean not us, the platform pushing that content out there. So if you see, let's say like suddenly a drop in your performances on like a specific video, a few things you might actually start considering. Maybe, I don't know, like you didn't really respect like the community guidelines, or could also be like advertisers friendly guidelines that are not actually like being complied with. Could also be, I don't know, like you just pivoted like content strategy and like users are kind of like lost and don't really know like what's your identity anymore, and so on and so forth. So there are like tons of reasons which can actually explain like a drop in performances. But most of the times creators would be, we think for sure about like, okay, I've been shadow banned, but it's not something that really exists on the platform. So yeah, it's more so about trying to find like on a 90 days period specifically, where do I see drops? And could also be seasonality, as I said earlier. If all of a sudden, I don't know, like it's like back to school, and then there's like tons of like kids content on the platform and anything related to that, or like the Olympics, of course, like you're gonna see drop in your regular content when it comes to the viewership.
And touching on just going back and we're saying about kind of, you know, clearing up some of the myths, are there some of the don'ts that you would encourage people to look at?
Yes, we have like a very thorough like section. It's like too much even in the help center. But I would say honestly, creators should be very mindful of those things relating to community guidelines and advertisers friendly guidelines as well. For the first one is making sure that there's like no hate speech in what you are putting out there, making sure that you're not, I don't know, like promoting guns, violence, and all those things, right? And then when it comes to advertisers friendly guidelines, making sure that the content, and this is where you have to put yourself in the shoes of an advertiser. Yeah. Is my content safe enough for, I don't know, Danone to be actually like pushed next to, or like Sainsbury or any actually like advertiser out there? And once you ask yourself that question, then you can actually adapt your content. And it's especially true for the titles and the description as well. So it's not only about the content, but also even like the title. So of course, like that's one thing I want to say as well, is that let's say you get a strike, or like we realize that your content is not compliant with the advertiser's guideline. We might just limit the monetization, right? But not necessarily the discoverability of your content. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind.
So you'll hit the money.
Exactly.
We'll still be able to find you, but you're not making any money, basically.
Exactly, that's the thing. Right. And I'm thinking about like those like horror channels or like true crime. Sometimes can be very sensitive. You have like a lot of blood and all those things. So we might be, okay, there's an audience for sure for that. But still, when it comes to monetization, it can be a little bit tricky. So yeah, and I know there's a lot of kind of like clickbaity titles as well that you kind of have a bit of a minefield. I know there was like issues with children's content and people sneaking very adult content into that. Exactly.
So there's a lot of safeguarding issues around all of that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as like a platform, like there's like rules and like engagement we actually like are responsible for in a way. So making sure that like the platform is safe not only for users but also creators and advertisers. It's like this like virtuous cycle, and we want to avoid lawsuits. No, but yeah.
Amazing. So I know we just kind of like briefly went through all of this little bit of a deep dive in there. But you know, you have a very interesting story yourself. Obviously, there's an accent. So let's kind of dig into you a little bit and some personal insights. So you support some of the biggest French creators and media companies. What are some of their strategies or practices that you've seen work particularly well in that market?
So I have like this, I used to manage actually this French creator. He's like specialized in entertaining. So it's about like, I don't know, like tons of challenges, breaking like a bowling ball, for instance, trying to find like what's inside.
Oh,
a little bit crazy,
yeah.
you know, but still like super entertaining. So he reached out when I joined YouTube saying, okay, I'm seeing actually like a drop of my subscribers. I don't know why. My content is still like very much engaging, but why people are not subscribing? So what we did is that we realized that his audience was actually growing up, you know. So you might actually like still be subscribe to a channel, but still like no longer watch that channel because you have other interests. So what we did is that that is actually when Shorts just launched. So we use Shorts as a way to, let's say, like build that new audience and like attract a new audience and, let's say, like offset the loss of subscribers, because you scroll and then you subscribe directly, right, when you like the content. So that's one strategy we did for him specifically. I have like another example. It's like with like a big football club in France. So what we did with them is that they had like this massive football match with Ronaldo, Messi, and Kylian Mbappe, and it was quite historic because and Neymar as well at the time. That was like a year and a half ago.
Wow, yeah,
quite big
players
big
there,
moments, yeah. So what we did is that we managed actually to use like a new feature. It's called pay-per-view. So you basically pay to access the specific match. So we actually opened that actually to specific markets. Made sure actually like to have like a full like promotion more so on the partner side than YouTube, but still. And that product wasn't available in Europe yet, but we still like managed to get it actually for the partner. So that was like a nice way to, let's say, like use live streaming and like pay-per-view to actually bring to light that event and like give it like the correct, let's say, like bring the audience basically to this huge event.
Yes, brilliant. And so what challenges do you see creators from diverse backgrounds face, and how can they overcome these challenges on platforms like YouTube?
I would say for sure like making sure their content is like properly surfacing, right? That's like the biggest challenge, I feel like. And like there's like so many creators actually. So that's where it becomes difficult for like creators from like diverse backgrounds to actually like see their content like out there. But what we have is that we have actually programs for the UK market to have specific programs. We have like the Black Voices Fund, which is something that one of my colleagues was super involved in, Maz Jonah, Miebaka as well, and like all those things are like very, let's say, niche, but still are ways for us to, let's say, like put in place programs where we actually like shed light on those creators, share opportunities and all those things, and also like equip them with like the let's say like the the best practices and anything actually like helping them actually grow on the platform in general. You have that because, and this is more so like a personal like opinion, specifically when it comes to like content that is out there, like we're like a small number of people, right? So like the chances of our content actually like growing and like being as big as like any other type of content are like really small. So I feel like we still need that nudge and that help we can actually like put in place. And this might explain why also like we see like not a drop necessarily, but also like a scaling in that audience. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about Europe and kind of like Black representation, Black creators compared to like the US, for example, it's like you said, we're such a drop in the ocean. So kind of any means where we can amplify our platforms and our voices is really important. So yeah, just kind of like any tips on that as Black creators or any person of color kind of creator. Is there like a number one tip that you could give?
Honestly, keep up with the trend. It's gonna sound really, really, really generic. Yeah. But make sure that anytime there's like a new trend or like seasonality and anything related to that, that you have actually like a concept that is around that, just to make sure that by the algorithm it's pushed easily and it's center basically.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. I wanted to kind of dig in a little bit about you because I know that you're building up your own personal brand. So is there anything you can share and tell us, or like where we can kind of find you, or just a bit more about that?
Yes, so I'm actually trying to, let's say, like have like a different palette of the things that I'm pursuing in life in general. So like trying to join that influencer like that, not influencer, but also like creators life, because I really love fashion. So at the moment I'm trying to actually like, I don't know, create looks and put it out there a little bit. So that's for one. And we discussed that a little bit offline, but I'm also like thinking of having like a podcast myself. All that just to say that I feel like we are so much sucked in our corporate lives. And for me, it's like, and I realized that this year actually, like, it's very important to try to like, let's say, just like find our true. I mean, I love what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong. However, I think it's very important to actually like try to pursue different things and interest in like passions. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And I think there is definitely a distinction between influencer and creator. You know, certainly for me, I think I want to kind of follow the more creator vibe and tap into that energy a bit more than like the influencer vibe. I'm not really here to influence anybody.
No, and I feel like the influencer vibe has this kind of like stereotype where it's very like the ethic behind it is not the best. So this is also like something we want actually like to avoid in general. But at the same time, like and this is maybe like a bias from me specifically, but like I don't feel like I'm a content creator in itself. Like the word content creator for me, like it I don't know, like resonates with, I don't know, like learning creator, science creator, like those type of things. I'm like, maybe like that's not me necessarily. I feel like having like a word that would be like a right balance between both could be interesting, but I don't know.
You have to come up with your own category.
Literally.
Oh, brilliant. So we are coming towards the end, and I always like to ask my guests about their values. And so just like a value for your personal life and a value for your professional. And I like to do that, and I don't think I've given a reason why I do this. I like to do that just to kind of leave the audience with something to think about for their own life. So if you would like to share a value for your professional life first.
For the professional life, I would definitely say, for the professional life, I would definitely say resourcefulness, especially at Google/YouTube. I feel like I've had like so many instances where, and just like in life in general as well, like it's very relatable, instances where I didn't know what to do, where to find information and so on. So I felt like, okay, I might not know it yet, but I know someone who might actually know it. And also like that certainty, just like through my life experiences in general, that no matter what happens, like that resilience of like, okay, like things will be okay ultimately. I will find a way. So that's, I think like that's like my motto in general. Like that's fine. Like it's not easy, it's hard, but I will find a way in any case. I'm a first like gen immigrant as well. Yeah. So for me, like, I had to adapt in that sense. So that's what I'm thinking of.
Amazing. And for your personal life?
Personal life, I think empathy, very, very important for me. And also now that I think about it, for the professional life as well, because working with creators, like you have to have that empathetic side. But on the personal side, like very much empathy. And like I always try to put myself in like other people's shoes when I can. I think like I'm an extra sensitive person. And yeah, that's like the number one thing in my
I like that. Resourcefulness and empathy. Yeah, lovely words. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap it up. But if people want to follow your journey, where can they find you?
On Instagram, Yannelle_Aïssi. On YouTube as well. Happy to actually like link my my professional like address email. And I want to say as well, I have like many colleagues working on the UK market. So if you're like ever interested, super happy to also like, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Exactly.
Sounds good.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming down and imparting all your knowledge. And I think that's going to be really, really useful for our listeners and our viewers. So thank you so much for your time.
No, thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Thank you. It was amazing. It was amazing. We might have to come back and share some more bits and bobs with us. That would be great. Guys, thank you so much again for joining us. And as always, like, follow, subscribe. You can find us on YouTube, Black Circle Podcast, on Spotify, Black Circle Podcast, and on Instagram, the Black Circle .podcast. Thank you so much.